Now, what we're actually hoping to do here at NCTV45 is recreate all these winter activities and these blizzards that we've had this year and compare them to that of 1977, 1978, and actually tell you what was going on at that time. Was it a lot like what you see over my shoulder here? Or just how did we react back then, 49 years ago, as these storms? Now, let's go back, if you would, to Tuesday, January 11th, 1977. Blizzard winds whipped 10-foot 10-foot snowdrifts across roads in Lawrence County. This, the Newcastle News reporting. The blizzard winds were 60 miles an hour, slamming into the county and leaving king-size problems for road crews. As the Newcastle News reported, and we'll kind of show you right there, and see how familiar it looks to the current picture. These drifts closed major parts of U.S. Route 19 and really kind of hampered the city, if you would, in their ability to do business. Naturally, you had school closings, delays, and all other sorts of problems. And when you looked at this Arctic blast, as I show you the wind area that was at the bottom of the Newcastle News, and I'll read it to you. This Arctic blast caused temperatures to be below zero, okay, and daytime highs not much past that. These temperatures really cold, as it closed many businesses and also schools, roads, and quite a bit of activities across Lawrence County. So this dating back to January 11th, 1977, as you take a look at the Newcastle News on that particular day. Now, we've got a lot more to show you on this particular day on things that were going on back in 77 and 1978. Now, back on Monday, January 17th, 1977, how about your mail? What was happening then? Well, courtesy of the Newcastle News again, Larry Flynn asked residents to help carriers deliver their mail. Due to the severe weather, he was asking that residents sand, salt, and clear stairways and paths. The consideration this could keep postmen on their feet so they can deliver the mail. Although the rural route and star carriers must make every reasonable effort to serve the greatest number of carriers possible, during this time, carriers are not required to provide service on foot where roads are impassable or when the city and state authorities issue warnings and road travel hazardous advisories. Now, he asked that rural residents attempt to open approaches to their mailbox after heavy snows, otherwise carriers may be prevented from making deliveries. Meanwhile, downtown, downtown was open on Mondays and Thursdays. Well, all stores in downtown closed at 5 p.m. instead of their usual 9 p.m. on the Monday evening. Banks will also be closed. The action is taken as part of the Downtown Merchants Association and the Greater Newcastle Chamber Association due to the extreme cold and weather in an effort to save energy, said Richard Moody, as he made that statement the morning of January 17th, 1977. It was, to say the least, a very, very cold, wintry, blizzard-like time. Very similar to some of the actions we had here, but theirs lasted a little bit longer than ours, although we may still have some bad weather on the way. So don't get all excited yet. It just isn't over, as NCTV45 keeps you informed. Well, for you folks wondering about basketball, the Canes kept practicing during this frigid winter weather. Barring a total breakdown, they had to win their 2 games to keep their playoff hopes alive, and they were AAA schools. Now, Union continued on. As a matter of fact, Coach Mike Cavelli on January 12th got his 300th win as head coach of the Union Scotties. Now with that, folks, games continued on, but there's a lot of people that have informed me that some of the games were canceled. I know that Newcastle played its games in the afternoon because the gyms had to be set at 60 degrees, and we're going to find that out later in this broadcast as you look in the bottom corner of our screen and see just how the snow impacted us back then as compared to now. Basketball games were played, and these games were like Laurel at Slippery Rock, Neshannock at Wilmington, Mohawk at Shenango. Also, wrestling and gymnastics continued. College basketball, Waynesburg was at Westminster. And, well, the Canes had their work cut out for them because they had to keep winning and beat a really good Farrell team. And that's Section 3 tough with Farrell, Sharon, Ambridge, Beaver Falls, and Elwood City. It was a very challenging time on the hardwood, and it wasn't just the cold, but they did play those games, just to let you know. Now, here was the other interesting thing that went on. The schools were closed, and they were closed due to Governor Schaap's state of emergency declaration. This on January 21st, 1977. Well, the question was, did the days have to be made up? And were teachers going to get paid? Under the Education Department statement, these lost days, they said, would have to be made up. But Governor Schaap exercised an executive order, and because the schools were closed due to a state of emergency, and that emergency being energy, those days were forgiven And the teachers were paid for those missed days. And this coming courtesy, as a new president, Jimmy Carter, got sworn in, this coming courtesy of Friday, January 21st, 1977, as amazing day as the weather continued with its frigid temperatures, large amounts of snow, and heating the buildings. Well, public buildings had to be at 60 degrees as they were trying to make their way through that blizzard that happened 49 years ago. So, giving you an idea of what things looked like back on Friday, January 21st, 1977. NCTV45 continuing on with the comparisons of the blizzards that plagued our area. On Tuesday, January 18th, 1977, critical gas problems faced and slowed down. Well, Governor Schaap took action, declaring a state of emergency, and Erie residents have been asked to turn their thermostats down to 55. Business owners have been urged to close except for grocery stores and drugstores. And here in Lawrence County, grocery stores, drugstores, those type of stores were set at 60 degrees. Now, that was public buildings. So that being the fact, what you had was the schools playing basketball games in the afternoon, okay, because of the problems. The mayor was Francis J. Rogan, and he announced that the city will be clearing snow from the streets during the night, and this of Tuesday, January 18th, 1977. City crews amid equipment and such high lifts rented from private firms will begin at midnight and work through 8 a.m. The schedule follows Thursday and Friday also. So they were going to be clearing Grand Street, Jefferson Street, Sampson Street, Beaver Street, Fall Street to Town Mall, Jefferson Street, the city fire station, Mill Street, and the Mill Street Bridge. All this very, very important, as these we were getting the cold snaps, the Arctic blasts, and the snow. And there you can see on the map that frigid air coming down from Canada, that Arctic blast, that were keeping our temperatures overnight below zero, and it was causing a heck of a problem. This January 18th, 1977, and this is why I told you in those broadcasts that we had, this was very reminiscent of what we're going through or what we've been through now. The difference is our energy is a little bit better, as we don't have those shortages, and we're not asked to turn down thermostats in our businesses. But businesses had a rough time, schools had a rough time, and the city had a rough time clearing the streets. NCTV45 looking back. Now, as the storm went on, and this very critical. Arctic air continues to drain the fuel problems. Snow removal is very costly to the city. And the Newcastle News writes that people are asked to stay home. The police this morning issued a weather advisory statement warning community residents of approaching blizzard conditions. The police that all motorists, including truckers making these deliveries, stay at home. With gusting winds between 30 and 40 miles an hour and 4 to 5 inches of snow have been predicted for this time. Due to the drifting and blowing snow, it is anticipated that visibility will be reduced to zero, said a spokesman. Although the action has not been taken by 11 a.m., police were considering closing interstates. Okay, temperatures of 5 degrees to 10 degrees below zero were forecasted for the evening. Now, also, the Newcastle News, and I say this several times because they did a great job, exposure to frostbite requires quick aid. And as you look at the weather map, you see that Arctic air dipping down and coming. It was a total windfall, as you can see, and it blasted the living daylights out of us back on Friday, January 28th, 1977. It was a cold, cold time, and NCTV45 totally keeping you informed of all the information and all the storms going on today, and telling you what went on yesterday. This is, or yesteryear, as it would be. NCTV45, anytime on your time. So, we start to go a year from that 77 blizzard. Was it going to end? Well, on January 10th, 1978, what did we see? Areas, schools, and roads closed. Yes, the superintendent of Penn Power was talking about the problems getting out to rural areas in the county that were closed by blowing snow and wind that occurred the day before. So schools were also closed as temperatures were below zero with the wind chill. The Arctic blast you see in the bottom portion of the paper still existing, and it was just Arctic cold blanketed the east. And we were in this as low temperatures were below zero in the night, and the chance of snow was well above 50%. That kept things on a difficult keel back January 10th, 1978, as we look back with the Newcastle News, as fantastic job they did on reporting what was going on back then. Unbelievable. As we are coming to the end of our show, we look at January 21st, 1978. Not even a month from there, probably 3 weeks, I was going to the TNET formal that they had in Union every year. But a third storm buried the state with 30 inches of snow in western Pennsylvania. It created blizzard conditions, and schools let students go home early. Banks, stores, restaurants closed, as did City Hall. This courtesy of the Newcastle News, as shovel shortages added to the snow woes because the stores were running out of shovels. The Arctic blast still coming down from the north and giving us sub-zero temperatures, and those at zero or just above. It was one interesting time. Now, the question has to abound with the Newcastle News on their kaleidoscope page showing kids enjoying fun in the snow. And you're probably asking yourself, well, what were our snow totals as these kids, any place there was snow, so you were sled riding. You had to be careful of the frostbite, but all in all, you were having a good time riding and sledding, as you could do it just about anywhere. So what did the snow totals look like in the 76-77 winter? And that's because winter starts in December, so it would be 76-77 and 77-78. Well, here you go, taking a look at these snow totals. In 1976-77, we received 49.6 inches of snow for that winter. In the 77-78, 62.2 inches of snow. Now, interesting enough, and they start this in October to give you an idea. The snow that we saw falling, we got 6 inches of snow at Thanksgiving in the 76-77 year. We got 3 inches at Thanksgiving then. December, almost 8 inches of snow, 76-77. 9 inches. The key was in January receiving 26.5 and 40.2 in the January month. As we closed out and looked at February, 3 inches in the 76-77 year, and then check that, 6.4 inches that year, 5.4 inches the following year, and then the numbers went down. We did have a March snowfall in the 76-77 year, and that was the coldest winter that we had. As you could see those totals, and I bring them up to you right there on your screen. Now, how does that compare? Well, as we look back in 1961, we received 76 inches of snow for the year. And if we go back to 1950-51, we received 82 inches of snow for the year. So snow has been here. It's just a long time between snows. Now, we know what those snowfall totals were before. How did they stack up with this year? Here's how you do it. We have had 3 snowfalls where I personally measured about 6 inches of snow. So knowing that it could be higher, that's a distinct possibility. But that gave us 18 inches. The last measurement that I had here was 20 inches, which puts us at 38. Now the the average snowfall here is usually between 32 and 38 inches. We do have more snowfall forecasted for February. 44 inches represents the higher number and higher average that we can receive. As we take a look at these numbers, keep in mind in 1977, 49.6 inches. We could make a run at that snowfall total by getting 10, 12 more inches of snow right here in Lawrence County in western Pennsylvania. Hold on to your hat. February's coming, and it'll be quite interesting as we look at the snowfalls for this month. Now, here at NCTV45, we hope you enjoyed our bringing you the blizzards of the past and present. Don't like to give it that kind of thing. Our wind gusts haven't been as high as they were back then. However, our snowfall totals have been right on target. I'd like to thank the Newcastle News as they wrote those articles. They did it back in the day. They kept people informed, and it was a pleasure to read what was going on. Also, fond memories of WKSD that had to read those closings, delays, and what was going on each and every day. They were large lists. And, as we are NCTV45, we pay tribute to those folks at WKSD, where it was WKST TV45. Our media sources in Newcastle here have been honorable, really great, and I thank them for all the hard work they've done in the past. And as these times have changed, NCTV45 hopes to live up to the standard that has become media in Lawrence County, bringing you what's going on now, and a look back on what went on then. The station that's available anytime on your time. It's NCTV45. Now, we hope that you support our sponsors. We hope that you tell a friend and have a friend tell a friend about NCTV45. As Captain Lawrence would say, as we don't abandon the ship, but keep moving forward, navigating through the waters of life. NCTV45 available anytime on your time, and we're glad to have you around. Thanks for looking back on the blizzards of the past and the snowstorms of the present, and I will keep you informed as much as humanly possible right here at Lawrence County's community television station, NCTV45. Thanks for watching, and we hope you have a great day, a great week, and remember, it's available anytime on your time. Watch it on one of those 90-degree days. You'll feel better. See you again real soon.
Broadcasting from the greatest castle in the world, in the county of Lawrence,